But let's, of course, start with this big story from the United States of America. Donald Trump has been in office for just 1 month now. But the American president has rattled the foundations of age-old relationships, institutions and agreements. Now, Donald Trump may have officially begun the presidential duties from the 20th of January, but shortly after winning the election in November, the Republican leader began making some big strides. Here's a lowdown. After a landslide electoral victory, Donald Trump did not wait long to announce the sweeping changes under his government. The biggest pre-inauguration announcement that Donald Trump made was the Department of Government Efficiency. Now, Trump handed the reins of DOGE to Elon Musk, tasking the billionaire with just one mission, and that is to slash public spending. And it seems that Elon Musk had no red lines in implementing the overhaul. In just about 30 days, DOGE has demanded access to data across federal departments, including education and tax. The Musk-led department has cancelled 1,127 contracts of 39 federal departments and agencies, including USAID and the Department of Education. Now, Musk describes it as efficiency. But critics, especially the Democrats, are calling the decision to be unconstitutional. So when Donald Trump took oath on the 20th of January, he started signing a blitz of executive orders, first at the Capital One Arena and then at the Oval Office. Donald Trump signed several executive orders within the first few hours of becoming the president. For the weeks that followed, more executive orders were signed, many of them with severe implications, from banning diversity hires for government jobs to signing into effect retaliatory tariffs on several countries and also ordering a freeze on federal funding worth billions of dollars. The Republican leader has also pardoned his supporters who were accused of rioting at Capitol Hill in 2021. And that's not all. Donald Trump has also signed an order ending birthright citizenship, but its implementation has been put on hold by the courts. Now, Donald Trump's actions in just 1 month have triggered nationwide protests on several occasions. Now, thousands of demonstrators have rallied against the U.S. president's controversial policy reforms.
Regulatory freeze, as you announced, until we have full control of this, the government and this administration.
Now, many of Donald Trump's cabinet picks have also stirred controversy over their eligibility for the position and the past statements that they've made. The American Senate confirmation for several nominees have turned into an intense grilling sessions. The Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard are some of the key personalities who faced some intense questioning during their hearing. The latest cabinet nominee to get the green signal from the United States Senate is Donald Trump's pick for the job of FBI Director, and it is Kash Patel. Now, many of Donald Trump's reform decisions have been met with legal protests as well. The U.S. attorneys from over 20 states, largely Democrat-run, have sued the U.S. president and his loyalist Elon Musk. Since the 20th of January, over 173 lawsuits have been filed so far, and some of the powers that Trump had granted to Musk. One lawsuit is against DOGE that is demanding unrestricted access to confidential federal data. Another case is currently ongoing where several senior attorneys have accused the White House of unconstitutionally appointing Elon Musk without congressional clearance. Now, on the diplomatic front, Donald Trump has lambasted the European nations and the NATO alliance in particular over low defense spending and the stance on Ukraine. Now, the American president has also slammed Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky as a dictator, as Washington appears to be cozying up, believe it or not, to Moscow. Now, Donald Trump has also fast-tracked the Russia-Ukraine peace negotiations, but has left Kiev and Europe out. While the world is still reeling from Donald Trump's return to the White House, it's only been a month. And while it's still early days yet, the Republican leader is time and again hinting at a possible third term. His latest remark at an event marking Black History Month has many questioning if the American president will sidestep the Constitution to run again, potentially, in 2028, although the American Constitution at this moment bars anyone from running thrice. Now, to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening at this moment in the United States of America, we're joined by Mr. Jonah Blank, who's a journalist, author, and also a foreign policy expert. He's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Mr. Blank, this has been a pretty eventful month for the people in the United States of America. Some are describing it as the Trump storm that is sweeping across the United States. But a lot of people are also questioning, is it Trump who's actually in charge, or is it Elon Musk who's pulling the strings from behind the scenes?
Very good question, and thank you for having me. What we're seeing is exactly what anyone who looked at the facts and looked at his statements would have known. He said he was going to be a dictator. He is governing as a dictator. He is using Elon Musk as his tool for being a dictator, but he's also being used by Elon because Trump is lazy and he's ignorant, and therefore he has someone who is not lazy, who's still ignorant, but willing to actually take the kind of actions that Trump just is too lazy to do.
Interesting, you describe him as lazy and ignorant. Donald Trump's criticism of Joe Biden was that he was the sleepy Joe, but Donald Trump was the one with the initiative. I also want you to weigh in on Donald Trump's first month in terms of foreign policy, where he had said that he wants to end the war in Ukraine, end the war on the Gaza Strip. But what he seems to be doing is he seems to be alienating some of America's oldest allies in Europe. The NATO military alliance probably is on the rocks. Give us a sense where America is headed in terms of foreign policy under Trump.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He has bullied America's closest friends, partners, and allies, and allied himself with America's adversaries, most notably Russia, under the dictatorship of Vladimir Putin. All of this is against both Democratic and Republican traditional interests and traditional policies. His policy for Gaza is ethnic cleansing. It is something that is just monstrous, and his betrayal of the Ukrainian people is not only against American policy, it's just bad negotiation. Because he's not interested in American values. He's interested in basically just bullying our friends and allies to boost his own ego.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Blank, for joining us and getting us that perspective. We'll, of course, have to wait and watch as to how the rest of the Trump time in the presidential office, of course, goes from here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.